the states can restrict minors from transitioning. They were just saying the states have the right to regulate this. Thoughts?
So this is a sanity check. If you can't tell me the difference between a man and a woman, then what happens is I don't want to hear your other argument because it's just that simple. If you don't think that biological men should not compete against biological women, if you can't say that's not a good idea, that's ridiculous. Correct. We saw the issue with Riley Gaines and Simone Biles. We saw that debate go unfold, and Simone got destroyed on this because, again, this is a sanity check. We had a Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown, that was asked, can you tell me the difference between a man and a woman? And she said, I'm not a doctor. This is a sanity check. If you can't answer that basic question, then how can you possibly tell me about policy? And this is one of the reasons why the Democrats are losing on an issue like this. I have a 6'4" and 2-year-old. My 6 and 4-year-old, they think that they're Anna and Elsa, and my little boy thinks he's Lightning McQueen. By the time you're 18 years old, if you want to change your body, you can live and do whatever you want as long as you want to pay for it. I fought for the right for you to be able to do that. But when we are talking about children and undeveloped human beings and allowing them to make decisions that are going to impact the rest of their life, we must protect them.
It's been a while since I did a commentary video on Bill Maher and some of his reactions to the day-to-day. The reason I like to use Bill Maher because Bill Maher represented what a liberal used to be in his generation. I think Bill Maher's a boomer. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Bill Maher's a boomer, and liberal boomers tend to have, I think, Bill Maher's sentiment. And I talk about this often on this channel when people correct me saying, no, these kids nowadays are not liberal, they're progressives and all this stuff. And I'm just saying liberal change generation to generation. Gen X liberal is different from a millennial liberal. A millennial liberal is different from a Gen Z liberal, okay? Gen Z liberals are progressives. I get it. But the definitions has changed. And I talk about this often, how liberalism is is like worn as a skin suit for the left. As you saw from the intro, Wesley Hunt, he's taking it to Bill Maher and a lot of these narratives that the left love to push, right? These false equivalencies, this sanity check, like you can't acknowledge biological realities. And to me, the term saying biological men, to me, is like oxymoronic because almost men, like if you look at the definition of man, it has a definition, it has biological things already associated with that definition. Adult male, adult human male. Those are all biological terms. That's what encapsulates the. So calling biological, it's like, come on. I don't know. I don't like to preference biological men. If you're a man, you're a man. If you're a woman, you're a woman. We know what these definitions are. We know what these things are supposed to notify. And even John Fetterman, who is the most sane person that I can point to in the Democratic Party, is even saying maybe my party should be less neurotic, quit the virtual signaling, and be normal. And this is one of the reasons why y'all was kept in the dark about military operations, because people lost faith in the Democratic Party, and it's so ridiculous. Some of the things that they are out here trying to say, especially defending illegals, and this is one of the most like the main things that's hurting the Democratic Party. And I think Democrats are due for a sanity check. And I want to play this clip of Victor reacting to some of the propositions that Democrats are posing to us about how, Donald Trump somehow caused chaos and destruction. And this give you kind of a sneak peek of what is to come if you allow Democrats to have complete control over a state. Let's take a look.
All we're hearing from Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles and the respective governor of California, is that everything was peaceful. And then Donald Trump nationalized the California National Guard. And the result is chaos. But that's not what we see. We see people spitting on police officers. We see people throwing concrete at them. We see people looting stores. We see stores boarded up. We see buildings defaced. We see people taking over the street. We see people stopping 101 and major traffic. We see people waving the Mexican flag of the country they don't want to go back to and spitting and burning the flag of the country they insist on staying. So there's chaos. And the more that Karen Bass assures us that everything is fine, the more that we know that she's not telling the truth. And we're back to the Palisades fire where then she was physically in Ghana. Now she's mentally or psychologically somewhere else, but she's not the mayor as we interpret the mayor. So we're looking for positive suggestions from the opposition party.
So this is the state that Bill Maher lives in, California. all this destruction, violence, looting, right? All this enablement to the point where the people themselves had to vote for an addendum on a law to finally prosecute people for looting stuff. This is showing me the incentive, and I'll show you the outcome. And in this discussion between Wesley Hunt and Bill Maher, they're going to talk about another narrative that the left love to bring. They love to bring this false equivalency about political violence. And, with the LA riots going on right now, the left is looking at a lot of ways to try to save face, try to spread the blame around as they typically do. And I think this is a perfect kind of discussion between Wesley Hunt and Bill Maher. And I hope you guys find it informative and insightful. Let's take a look at this clip, and then, as usual, I'll give my commentary throughout. Let's go.
Do we say that both parties are equally guilty? Because when I think about January 6th and pardoning all the people who were involved in that insurrection, or whatever you want to call it.
Insurrection. How do you have insurrection with no guns, though? That's like having.
Well,
that's like making coffee.
They
with
brought
beans.
tons of guns. It's just
There's 400 guns currently in 40 million guns currently in circulation. One person was killed that day. It was Ashley Babbitt. She was a white unarmed person that was killed by a black Capitol police officer. Imagine if that had been the other way around. When I think of an insurrection as a war fighter, somebody that has seen some real nasty stuff, hold on. When I think about that, what people have to understand is that the summer of love leading up to that was something else. We were talking about $2 billion in damage. 200 cities had to go under curfew. 22 people lost their lives.
And this is facts that the left don't want to acknowledge, right? If you call January 6th an insurrection where it caused less damage than the summer of love, less people died in the summer of love than the summer of love, then you have to admit that what was going on during the BLM riots in summer of 2020, those were insurrections. Remember Chaz? Y'all made a whole autonomous zone where there was no government authority, where a bunch of assault was going on, death was going on. Y'all stopped not the pediatrics. Y'all stopped the fire rescues. Y'all were interrupting all types of paramedics. Y'all stopping all kinds of people from coming, all kinds of government oversight from coming into the area, where that was causing all type of chaos and mayhem. But that was an insurrection. And this is where the left get caught up, because Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, they had a fund where they were bailing out these people during the riots of Summer of Love 2020, right? You had a fund freeing these people, bailing these people out. And politically, what Donald Trump did in equivalency, these people been in prison for 4 years, with some without trial, some in isolated confinement. I think they suffered enough. I think they were punished enough, right, for whatever crime they did, if I'm taking you at face value. And Trump pardoned them after 4 years of being in prison. Y'all didn't even let y'all protesters, your rioters who destroyed more property, killed more people, you didn't even let them spend a day in jail. At most, some of them spent 1 week, and they were already back on the street. Trump waited until his presidency. He didn't pardon them. 4 years later, he pardons them, and y'all outraged about it. And this is the funny part when they try to do these false equivalency, because then you find out they're making an apples to orange comparison. Because based on their definition, if that looked like a minor riot, when you compare it to the damage that BLM was created, the amount of people that died in BLM, but you didn't want to call that an insurrection, huh? It's always different when Democrats and leftists do it. And this is the double standards I think a lot of Americans are starting to notice with Democrats. When they do something, it's always different. It's always different when a Democrat does it. And I believe the inability for Democrats to self-reflect is their number one thing that's going to keep me from voting for them for a long time. And I think this should be the way that many Americans see it, in my view. But I digress. Let's continue back into the clip.
And I understand that January 6th was a Democrats' white rhino, and they were going to run in that. They're going to win the next election. And Donald Trump is still president, last I checked.
Okay, take the politics out of it. I mean, look, they were there for a specific reason, and they attacked the Capitol, a specific place, on a specific day, at a specific moment, which was the exact moment that the votes were being counted, which to me makes it even worse. But okay, let's just say they were there because they were, I don't know, furious about the price of eggs. No politics. They were just like, Congress has not done anything about the goddamn price of eggs, and we are going to, I don't care how many cops get hurt, would it be any different?
Well, again, we were talking about...
Is it just okay because it was defending Trump?
this wasn't necessarily about defending Trump.
Okay, but what if it was? What if it was over 100 cops getting hurt and people taking over a building over the
Now
price?
you're talking about the summer of love.
Over the price
now
of
you're talking
eggs.
about the summer of love. No. That's when people are actually really getting hurt.
Well,
that's when 22 people died. That's when we watched mayhem in our streets. And even just a couple of weeks ago here in LA, we were watching people throw pieces of concrete at law enforcement officers and cars burning in the street in our cities. We cannot have that anywhere.
Okay.
But the left is allowed to do almost damn near whatever they want. Why? They're enabled to do this. They're incentivized to do it. They've been emboldened based on the ways that Democrats always protect them, bail them out. They feel like, oh, I can do whatever I want. There's money funding that funds these protestings. You have professional protesters. I did a video talking about professional protesters. The left has a lot of time in their hands. Conservatives tend to not have time on their hands like that. That's why conservatives tend to not protest. Only left-wing people protest, right? And January 6th is the only thing they can point to. While we can point to Chaz, the Seattle riots in the 2020, we have a lot of material. Antifa, leftists been attacking conservative speakers on college campuses for years. There's videos of individual attacks from leftists terrorizing people. But, they're equally bad. No, leftists do it more. And then they got people in the media, which is an institution dominated by left-wingers, that anything that is not explicitly left-wing, they deem it right-wing, to make this false narrative that, oh my God, the DOJ and the FBI are more worried about far-right attacks than left-wing attacks. And then you ask, okay, how are you distincting that? Oh, anything that's not overtly left-wing, consider it right-wing. When that makes no damn sense. You got Antifa. Oh, Antifa doesn't exist. Denying the existence of these people who organize to protest conservative speakers, and then it usually turns violent. But, it's not, false equivalence. It's all the same, it's all the same. The only difference is, when it happens on the right is willing to condemn their own side for doing or participating in these tactics. On the left, they don't do that. That's the only difference. The left will turn a blind eye to it, pretend it doesn't happen, or find some ways to justify what happened. I remember when the shooting happened in Butler, when the firefighter lost their lives, you had left-wing commentators like Destiny, I think his name was, laughing, saying he will laugh at you if you were at a Trump rally and you got shot. That's the kind of language the left perpetrate in the interwebs. Find me an equivalency of that on the right. They're going to go to all the extremist ones, the ones that's not being platformed by the right-wing circle and the right-wing spaces. That's where you're going to find those voices. But Destiny is platformed. He's more of a mainstream voice compared to someone like Hassan Piker. And he was the one who's saying that. Find me another mainstream conservative saying that about some violence that happened on the left. Find me an example of the conservatives being happy about what happened to the Democratic lawmaker that got killed by an oppositive, someone associated with Tim Walz. Show me that on the right. You can't. But you love to make these arguments about how it's equivalently the same. Sure, political violence can happen on both sides. But my main critique and my main problem is, on one side, it's condemned conservatives. We condemn political violence, whether it comes from our side or someone else. And the left only condemns political violence when it comes from the right. That's the difference. That's the issue that I have when they try to make these false equivalencies about political violence. And I believe that the left does it more. It's just underreported. But, I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I think Wesley Hunt did a good job here, pushing back and challenging Bill Maher, trying to create these narratives, right? He's still trying to pretend that the Democratic Party is a viable and good party when everybody in America knows, even Bill knows, that the Democrats are not good at all. But, Bill's tribal. He loves his political party. He wants the best for his political party. But I think the only way this political party is going to change is if it faces some consequences. And that is for them to lose in 2026. That's just my opinion. I'd like to hear yours in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you're so inclined. It really does help me on the algorithm. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.